$1.87. That was all, and 60 cents of it was in pennies. Coins that had been collected over a long period of time, 1 cent and 2 cents at a time, saved through bargaining with the grocer, the vegetable seller, and the butcher. Coins gathered by enduring the merchant's sarcastic remarks and their accusations of stinginess, meanness, and greed. And she had endured all this bitterness and insults in the hope that she could save a small amount for herself by the end of the year. She counted the money over carefully once more. She hadn't been mistaken. It was still $1.87. It was a tiny amount. With it, it was impossible to buy anything beautiful, anything worthy of being a gift. And tomorrow was Christmas Day. Della, a young woman, pale, sorrowful, and heartbroken, looked up. What could she do? She had no choice but to throw herself onto the worn-out little couch and cry. Truly, life is nothing but a series of sorrows and tears, with smiles appearing only rarely. And even when they do, their life is shorter than that of a spring morning dew. Della wept over her miserable fate. Her home was a modest little flat for which she paid $8 a week in rent. Any newcomer could tell at a glance that this was the humble dwelling of a poor and needy family. Every corner of it, and every piece of its furniture, spoke of poverty and hardship. The downstairs room was just like a humble hallway, or resembled a mailbox into which no letter ever fell. It was a dwelling to which no finger ever pressed the doorbell. Next to the bell, there was a card that read, James Dillingham Young. Years ago, the tenants of this house had been a young husband and wife, to whom the son of fortune smiled now and then. At that time, the man of the family earned about $30 a week, and this money was just enough to support the two of them. Events occurred that reduced his income to $20 a week, and this caused the foundation of their life to crumble. The demon of poverty came upon them and took away their comfort. It was as if, from that date, even a dark, gloomy veil had fallen over the name on the card, for from afar, it silently spoke of the poverty and helplessness of its owner. Nevertheless, whenever the man of the family stepped into the half-ruined courtyard of their home, his wife would greet him cheerfully and joyfully. She called him Jim and brightened his sorrowful heart with her radiant and hopeful smile. The young, heartbroken woman finished her crying. She stood up and walked a few steps around the room in bewilderment. She brightened her pale face with a little powder. Then she went to the window and, with a heavy heart, gazed out at the yard opposite. There, a gray cat was walking along the edge of the yard. She could not stop thinking about tomorrow for a single minute. Tomorrow was Christmas, and she had to give her husband a gift to make him happy, even if the gift was humble and small. Although at the moment, she had no more than $1.87 in total savings. For months, she had saved every penny and 2-cent coin from the household expenses in hope of such a day. And now, what she had managed to gather did not exceed this small amount. A weekly wage of $20, and the heavy cost of living left no room for saving anymore. Moreover, lately, the expenses for food and daily necessities had risen far more than she had anticipated. And now, after the passing of a whole year, the new year was approaching. She needed to buy a gift for her husband, a gift that would be a token of her loyalty and affection toward him. She had noticed the approach of Christmas weeks ago and had spent many days thinking about what to buy for her beloved Jim, something that, while suitable, would also be worthy of her husband's dignity and status. While now the fruit of her months of toil amounted to no more than $1.87. Unconsciously, she went up to the yellowed mirror placed between the two windows and glanced at it. She looked at it for a few moments, thoughtful and sorrowful. Then she reached up and untied the band of her hair, and in an instant, a waterfall of golden strands tumbled over her shoulders. In this poverty-stricken home, and among the family members, There were only two things that filled their owners with great pride and satisfaction. One was Jim's gold pocket watch, inherited from his grandfather, which constituted the only small valuable possession of the family. The other was Della's captivating and enchanting hair, which would compel any onlooker to admire and praise her. These golden strands were so beautiful and radiant that if the ancient Queen of Sheba, with all her wealth and fame, had lived nearby, Della every morning would, as if to outshine the queen's rare jewels, deliberately let her hair fall out of the window, surrendering it to the caress of the joyful breeze. Likewise, Jim took such pride in the only valuable keepsake of his family that if Solomon himself, with all his countless treasures, had lived in the neighborhood, he would take out his gold watch from his pocket every day, right before his eyes, intending to drive the wealthy king mad with envy and jealousy. The beautiful woman stood motionless before the mirror, unable to take her eyes off that shining cascade. Her golden strands were so long and thick that they reached down to her knees, forming a soft and caressing cover over her graceful figure. It was unclear how long this astonishment and bewilderment lasted. Various thoughts passed through her mind, and a powerful storm shook her spirit. At last, an idea came to her, a thought that flashed like a faint spark before her, illuminating the darkened world around her. But at the very thought of that vision, two warm, burning tears involuntarily rolled down her cheeks and fell onto the worn carpet of the room. That thought, that brief and sudden idea, was bitter and painful as it was, yet it made her problem easier and brought her closer to the small wish she had. She could no longer bear to wait or hesitate. She put on her old coat and placed her worn hat on her head. She hurried down the stairs and stepped out into the street. Then, with the same haste, she walked a distance until she reached a shop over which a sign was hung that read, "Madame Sofroni, hair goods of all kinds." She hurried into the shop. A stout, middle-aged woman was standing there. She stared at Della for a minute or two in surprise. Then, in a dull voice, Della asked, "Madam, will you buy my hair?" Madame cast a curious glance at the newcomer's hair. Then she replied, "I deal in buying and selling hair. Take off your hat so I can see it better." Della, with a trembling hand, removed her hat. Instantly, a wave of hair fell over her shoulder, and a flash of delight appeared in the astonished eyes of the buyer. She came closer, ran her fingers through the strands several times, and said, "I'll give you $20. The young woman immediately said, "Please give me the money quickly." 1 or 2 hours passed as swiftly as the wind. At this moment, Della, after much wandering and searching, stood in front of a shop where she could buy the special gift she had in mind. At last, she had found what she had been seeking in her dreams. There could have been no better gift for her beloved husband. She had searched through all those different shops until she finally found what she desired. It was a simple and beautiful chain, crafted by a skilled master from platinum. And it matched the value of the watch that her husband cherished so dearly. It was so delicate and charming that Della fell in love with it at first sight and realized she could not find a better gift. Even its simplicity and elegance suited the character and dignity of her husband. Fortunately, its price was not very high, roughly the amount Della had with her, just $21, leaving her 87 cents remaining. When she took it in her hand and headed home, she kept thinking that her husband would be more delighted than she expected upon seeing it, and naturally, he would cherish his watch even more. She entered the house and hurried upstairs. Although intoxicated with satisfaction and pride, she did not lose her caution. She thought it best to style her short hair a little so that it would not appear too odd or unattractive to her husband. She placed the curling iron in the fire, and when it became hot, she painstakingly curled her short hair, Now it looked better, although it appeared a little like a schoolboy's hairstyle. When she looked carefully into the mirror, she softly muttered under her breath, "I hope Jim doesn't dislike me. What will I do if he doesn't like my appearance? If he scolds me, saying I look like one of the singing girls from Coney Island, what will I answer him then?" And she fell into thought again. The effects of regret and deprivation were visible on her pale face. She said to herself, "But what else could I do? With only $1.87, it was impossible to buy anything." Evening came, and darkness spread everywhere. As was her usual habit, Della first made the coffee. Then she placed the frying pan on the stove to prepare dinner. Every minute, she expected the door to open and Jim to come in. Several more times, with anxiety and worry, she saw herself in the mirror. Then she took the delicate chain, for which she had worried so much during her search and purchase. At that very moment, she heard the sound of the door opening outside. Jim had returned home, as usual, right on time. In all the time he had been married to Della, he had never once come home late. The sound of the door opening outside. When the sound of his footsteps echoed through the hallway, Della's heart began to beat violently. The beautiful woman was accustomed to always, in any circumstance, pray to God and seek His help in the success of her endeavors. Here too, her gaze involuntarily turned upward, and she murmured under her breath, "O Lord, do not let Jim dislike me. Do not withhold your grace from me, and help me to appear beautiful in his eyes once more." Suddenly, the door opened, and Jim came in. As always, he was tired and worn out. His thoughtful, thin face showed that he worked very hard. Anyone could tell at a glance that Jim was not an old man. He was probably no more than 22 years old. Yet the passage of time and the hardships of life had aged him. With a hand red and swollen from the cold, he closed the door behind him and stepped forward. But suddenly, he stopped in his tracks. His eyes fell on Della, and he could not believe what he saw. Could this really be his wife, transformed into this appearance? He stared at her, speechless. Della, with a smiling yet anxious expression, looked at her husband. The young woman could not understand anything from his gaze, neither a sign of happiness, nor a trace of displeasure or disappointment. She could neither tell if her husband was upset by her action, nor could she understand whether he was pleased with it. These anxious seconds and minutes continued so long that Della could bear it no longer. She pushed the table aside and approached him. In a loud voice, she said, "Jim, my dear, why are you looking at me like that? Why are you so astonished? If you see that I have cut my hair, there was a reason. Look, my beloved, tomorrow is Christmas, and I could not bear the thought of not giving you a gift on Christmas morning. Since our financial situation is not good, and you yourself know it well, that's why I sold my hair, so I could buy something for you. Now, I hope you don't dislike my short hair. If you don't like it, don't be upset. You know it will grow back quickly. Very soon, my hair will grow back quickly. I had no choice but to do this. At least for this Christmas, congratulate me and let us be happy together. You don't know the little beautiful thing I've prepared for you." The young man continued to look at her, astonished. And with each moment, the woman's fear and anxiety grew. There was nothing left but for Della to start crying. Finally, he broke the silence and in a dull voice that revealed his sorrow and regret, said, "How you have changed! So you've cut your hair and—" Della interrupted him, "Yes, my dear, I cut it and sold it. Now tell me, have I become very ugly? Don't you love me like this?" Jim averted his gaze from her face and looked around the room. The anxious woman asked again, "Where are you looking? What are you searching for? I told you I sold them. Cheer up. Give me a little smile. Tonight is Christmas Eve. Don't be upset with me. I sacrificed my hair for you, but there's nothing to worry or be sad about. It will grow back again, And if they were beautiful and you loved them, then know this in return. I love you very much too. I did this for you. She stepped a little closer and, with a gentle smile, said, "Well, now forget about it. Come, sit down so I can prepare your dinner." Jim finally came to himself a little and awoke from that heavy trance. Perhaps he realized that if he stayed silent for even one more minute, a flood of tears would burst from his wife's eyes. He came closer and gently pressed her to his chest. Whatever had happened was already done. What use were sorrow and regret now? His golden dream had ended in a terrifying awakening. What good was that beautiful gift he had bought for his beloved wife, the one he had brought home with so much excitement and joy, now in such a hopeless moment? Let us suppose that Jim, at that very moment, earned not $8 a week, but $1 million a year. What difference would it have made in that minute under those circumstances? What was done, and the story had already unfolded. What logic in the world could soothe his troubled spirit and calm his burning heart in such a moment? Jim took the Christmas package out of the pocket of his worn coat and tossed it carelessly onto the table. "Here, Della dear," he said. "This is the humble gift I bought for you, but I'm sorry. It's no longer of any use to you. Still, it doesn't matter. Open it, and you'll understand why I was upset when I saw your short hair. Don't think that cutting your hair has lessened my love for you. Not at all. It was only because of this that I was upset." Della, with trembling fingers, unfastened the ribbon and looked inside the package. Suddenly, she let out a cry of delight, but fell silent at once. Apparently, a painful truth came to her mind, and then following it, warm, burning tears streamed down her eyes. Among the wrapping paper lay a set of beautiful golden combs, delicate combs that Della had long wished to buy to adorn her hair. Yet that wish had never come true. She had often seen them behind the glass of a shop on Broadway, but since their price was relatively high, she never imagined that one day she would own them. And now, those delicate, jewel-encrusted combs lay before her. For several minutes, she gazed at them with awe and delight, yet also with sorrow and regret, shedding tears. Then suddenly, she picked them up and pressed them to her chest. Seeing her husband's astonished eyes, she said, "Jim, you don't know how happy I am that you bought me this beautiful gift. I'm sure my hair will grow back quickly, and then I'll make myself beautiful with it." The dark veil of sorrow still lay across her husband's face. He remained silent, saying nothing. He had not yet seen the gift that his wife had bought for him, because Della had not yet had the chance to show it to him. After a few minutes passed in anxious hope and fear, Della stepped closer and with a smiling face reached out her hand to him. In that moment, her demeanor was so pure and innocent, and her spirit so full of love and affection, that even the smallest, humblest thing appeared bright and precious in the eyes of the beholder. She said, "Look at this beautiful chain. Do you like it? If only you knew how many shops I searched to find this watch strap. Now give me your watch. I want to see if it suits it or not." Instead of granting his wife's request, Jim flopped onto the worn-out bench and wore a sorrowful smile. Seeing her waiting, he said, "Della dear, it's better that we keep these Christmas gifts in a safe place for now. They're too precious to use immediately. Look, my beloved, I thank you so much for buying me this beautiful chain. But the truth is, I sold my watch so that I could buy those combs for you. Now, it doesn't matter. It's better to bring the dinner and eat, because I'm very hungry." This story is the tale of two people from our very own human society who sacrificed their most precious and valued possessions in order to give a gift to one another. Perhaps to this day, among all those who have prepared gifts for their loved ones on Christmas Eve, none has experienced a story more poignant and thrilling than that of these two. And although their gifts left nothing on their hearts but a painful sorrow, nevertheless, their offerings were the most fitting and meaningful presents, gifts that embodied the highest form of loyalty and selflessness.